Hey everyone, and thanks for your interest in Articulate. I wanted to give everyone a quick demo or walkthrough of what Articulate is capable of in its current form. It's a early release software, so use it with that in mind, but we think it's already got a lot of great features. With that, this is the interface that you're greeted with whenever you bring Articulate up. If you're running locally, then by default it's at localhost 3500. It is built to be multi-agent, so the first thing we have to do is create an agent. Just click the Create Agent button to get started. You have to provide a name for your agent, a description. You can choose one of 4 languages that we include in our Docker Compose file for bringing everything up, but it's pretty easy to add any languages that Spatie supports. You also have to choose a default time zone. We use Duckling under the hood for date and time parsing, and it expects a time zone. So this is the one that we provide by default. But if you get to the point where you're interacting with the agent via the API and not in the interface, you can provide a custom time zone that'll override the default, so you can use it no matter where your user is. You also have to specify a domain recognition threshold. This is a little bit more complicated than I want to get into in this video. Hopefully we can do an entire video just on how we're managing dialogue. For the moment, suffice it to say that the primary role of this slider is to determine whether we have enough confidence in an intent to give it as a response to the user. We actually have 2 thresholds, one on the domain and one on the intent. I'll talk a little bit about domains here in just a second. You also have to provide fallback responses. Whenever this confidence isn't met, this is how your agent will reply. This is a last-ditch effort to tell the user that we really don't know what's going on. I'm not typing all of this in because I've actually already created an agent to speed things along. So I'm going to switch to my PizzaBot agent. I am going to abandon my unmade changes. And you can see that I've got an agent with a name, a description, it's English, it's Louisville time zone, it's got a domain recognition threshold of 60, and it's got some fallback responses. Now that I have an agent, the next thing that I need is a domain. Domains are a little bit of an abstract concept, but whenever we're doing enterprise domains, we like to think of the domains being different departments. Sales, engineering, operations, finance. But really, a domain is just meant to be a logical grouping of intents. So I've actually already created one domain, which is the Smalltalk domain. And if I go to the intents list page, you can see that the Smalltalk domain includes greet, goodbye, and gratitude. These are just general conversational pieces that you need if you're conversing with a chatbot. But for this demo, I'm going to create a new domain, an entity, and an intent for ordering pizza, which will round out this agent. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to the agent screen and the domain screen and click Create Domain. I want this domain to be for ordering food, and I'll leave the threshold alone. Okay, so now that we've created that domain, Articulate's going to ask us to create entities and intents. If the intent that you're going to create needs entities, create those first. So we're going to go ahead and click Create Entity, and we're going to create an entity for pizza toppings. In the values, we're just going to provide common topping examples, if I can spell: pepperoni, sausage, cheese, sardines, ham, pineapple. Not ham. Ham. You can also provide synonyms. So ham might also be called Canadian bacon. So we'll add that as a synonym. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're going to go ahead and create that entity. And now we're going to create the intent that actually handles ordering food. The first thing that you have to do whenever you're creating a new intent is tell Articulate which domain it belongs to. So in this case, this intent will belong to the order food domain. And the intent name will be called order pizza. And now I have to provide enough user examples or examples of how the user would invoke this intent for Articulate to generalize upon that and be able to determine many more variants of those using machine learning. You're also going to get users who don't provide the toppings right off the bat. Just say, I want a pizza, please. You're going to get people who specify all the toppings. And you're going to get people who are very succinct. Order pizza. And let's do a ham and pineapple example. Okay, so now that we've got a few examples, we need to go into those examples and highlight the entities that are inside of them. So you can drag and drop to highlight, and you're going to select the entity that you want. We have a lot of system entities. These are provided by Spacie or Duckling, but you can also select the one that we just created. So this is definitely a topping. On most browsers, you can just double-click a word to select it from start to finish, especially if it's in the middle of the text and not at the end. Makes things go a little bit faster. Okay, so now that we've selected entities inside of our examples, you notice that the toppings entity showed up as a slot. Slots are things that can be filled by Articulate, and they have a few options. The first one is just whether or not you want this slot to be a list. Since we have examples where the user is providing multiple values of the same entity, toppings, we know that this one is a list. You also need to tell Articulate whether or not this entity is required. We definitely need to know what toppings the person wants on their pizza before we can place the order, so this one is required. If an entity is required, then you can provide a text prompt. This prompt is how Articulate is going to ask the user to provide the toppings that they want if they don't do it in their first statement. Okay. And now that I've got that taken care of, I'm going to go ahead and provide some agent responses. So this is how the agent is going to respond if this particular intent is invoked. So if the user asks for pizza and we're confident that that's what they're asking for, we're going to send them here. If they didn't provide toppings, we're going to collect them. Once all of the required slots have values, we're going to generate a reply. So you can do really simple examples like, sure, we'll get a pizza going for you. But you also have the option to use templating inside of your responses. So you can say, we will get a slots.toppings.value pizza in the oven right away. It's probably worth a video and a blog post just about this, but these slots are exposed at slots and the name of the slot, so slots.toppings, and then the value. Okay, so now that all that's done, I'm going to go ahead and click Create. We'll talk about webhooks a little bit more here in a second. The spinning wheel is an indicator that we're training the model in the background. And so whenever it's finished, the model will be ready and we can start using this side panel to chat with our agent. Okay, and so now that it's finished, we can start talking to it. Okay, so that's an expected response, and now we are going to ask for a pizza. What toppings would you like on your pizza? Pretty boring. I'm just going to go for cheese. We got a cheese pizza in the oven right away. That's what I wanted. Happy to help. Okay, so just like that, we saw, the power of Articulate. Maybe let's do one more example and try to use it where we include the entity in the initial request. We'll get a pepperoni pizza in the oven right away. Excellent. You're welcome. Okay, so hopefully you can see how Articulate can make this very easy. And we hope that you're gonna go and download it and experiment with it. If you have any troubles, shoot us an email, create an issue on the GitHub repository, or join us on the Gitter channel. There's links for all of that in the blog post that this video is a part of. And we really look forward to you using Articulate and letting us know, where we've fallen short, where we can make it better, where it has bugs, or if you think it's awesome. Thanks. Bye.